Hey there, welcome to the podcast. My name is Richard Butler, and today I have the great pleasure of speaking with Sanjay Sauldie, who is the director of the European Internet Marketing Institute and CEO of digital marketing consultancy agency Sauldie.org. And his agency was awarded with the Internet Oscar Golden Web Award by the International Association of Webmasters in Los Angeles, USA, and twice with the Innovation Award of the Initiative Mistel Land. I hope I got that one right. He is one of the most sought after European experts on the topic of digitization in companies and society. Now, I know that Sanjay wants to talk about two important things with us today, and those are the digital IQ of a company and the never normal. But I'm going to let him explain a little bit more about that.
Hi, Richard. It's a great honor to be here today and being able to talk to you and to all the listeners. My name is Sanjay Sauldie, and as you already said, I am specialized as a digital business consultant for small and medium-sized companies, and I help them to cope with the changes, the vast and fast changes in the digital world, and help them to increase their digital IQ. And that's very important for companies because a digital IQ will help a company survive in these never normal days. And the world is changing at a speed where, if you do not invest into the digital IQ of your staff, the staff will not be able to follow your orders and follow the developments in society. And it can happen that they either leave or they are disappointed, frustrated, they get a burnout and they leave the company. So increasing the digital IQ is one of the most important things. And I have a curriculum. I have developed courses with 24 digital technologies that are going to shape and form and definitely change the world we are living in. And I recommend every company to send their staff to the courses. These are video courses with an ebook and other important information, regularly updated so that everyone can profit from it. So I think that the digital IQ is going to be one of the most important things that will distinguish the winners from the losers in every business.
Okay, Sanjay, it is over to you. So tell us a little bit about you. Um, Tell us, let the listeners get to know who you are and why you do what you do.
So, Richard, I was born in India, and at the age of 4, I came to Germany. And my father is a foreign correspondent, my mother is an English teacher. And so we came over to Germany, and I learned everything from scratch. I had difficulties with the language, I was stammering, all these typical problems of immigrants into a new country, into a new language. But I had good teachers and I could start learning very well. I integrated into the society. And then I discovered my talent for mathematics and informatics. I got a computer at a very early age, although my parents at the beginning were against the computers. And so I got the computers from other sources. So I went to my friend's home. They had a computer, but they were only playing on it. And what I did was I started programming. So at the age of 10, I started programming computers and learned the first computer language. And so it went on. So I went to school, was very good at maths, and also developed special work groups for mathematics, which I was running side aside the normal school business. And then after school, after my Abitur, the Matura in Germany, as they say, I started my own business, and in parallel, I studied mathematics and informatics in Cologne. Yes, and after that, I I discovered Google and I discovered the internet, and everybody was saying, "Oh, the internet may be interesting for 3 or 4 people only." Uh, Go into banking, as you know, if you study mathematics and informatics, banking was the closest. But I stuck to the internet and I learned everything about Google, about all the stuff, how the internet works. I did courses, and excitingly, I wrote my first book for senior people on how to use the internet. So, how to connect a computer with the internet and the whole connection stuff and how to use it. And then I developed more and more knowledge. And after my studies, I went to the University of Salford in Manchester, did my master's there, and then I went to the MIT and developed strategies. And one of these strategies is transruption. And transruption is a buzzword. It's now my brand, and it works together with transformation and disruption. And if a company wants to survive, it needs to combine both. It needs to combine transformation, internal transformation in the company, and disruption means how to disrupt the whole environment, their whole industry into something new. So now I'm living in Mannheim. I'm married and I travel around the world, do a lot of keynotes everywhere, especially also for the DIY sector, for the fitness and sports industry. And I'm specialized in small and medium sized companies, but also big corporates like WD-40 used my knowledge, or the Otto Group in Germany, or L'Oreal. So the most interesting part is that it doesn't matter how big or how small your company is. The most important thing is, are you using the right strategies? Because the digital world is neutral to your size. Even a small company can overtake an old company if the old company is following the old strategies. That is why Instagram, with only 6 people, could overtake Kodak with, I do not know, more than 35,000 people working for them. And Kodak went bankrupt, whereas the 6 people made $1 billion business. So my support for companies is that my knowledge comes from universal laws of the internet, because I was there when the internet started and I know what possibilities are there for every company to grow and be very, very successful.
Excellent. Now, I did mention just when I introduced you that you like to talk about the importance of the digital IQ of a company. I mean, exactly what does that mean, and how can this help a company? Why do they need to know this, and how do they measure it? I mean, because we think of IQ tests, but how would you do that for a company, Sanjay?
Great question, Richard. That's the question that every company that is confronted with my presentation asks me. Because the problem is that in normal common sense, everybody says, "Oh, I know about digital. I know about this and that. I know how to how to start a computer." That's not digital IQ. Digital IQ means that you see the developments in the society, in your environment, in your industry, and understand the possibilities that new technologies offer. So, what I have done is, at the MIT, I have developed the strategy Transruption that consists of 24 important key technologies that are going to impact our business. For example, big data, artificial intelligence, automation, and so on. So, what I did was, I have developed online courses where companies send their staff to. The staff watches the videos, learns, and then answers questions. And when they answer the questions, they start thinking about how to implement this technology in their company. And I'm not talking only about the management people, the management staff, not only the C level, because they may have a very broad understanding of what is happening in the base. What I want to know and what is very helpful for companies is when they send all their staff to these courses. Many companies even make it mandatory that the staff has to at least watch 4 or 5 of these 24 technologies. And then these people who are really working in the company, they should tell the CEOs what possibilities they see after understanding the technology. So the digital IQ is based on 2 steps. The first step is understand the technology, understand the possibilities that are underneath this technology, and learn how other industries are using this technology. And the second step is implement it in your company. So through these online courses and through my live coaching that I also do in companies, I increase the digital understanding of technologies, of new upcoming technologies, to all the staff, and they can certify in my online learning portal, and they get a real certification, and they can use this certification, for example, for their own CV, or if they want to have a promotion, then they can present this CV to their leader, to the person who is responsible for them. And that is the importance. And the importance is for the mindset of the staff. If the people do not understand how technology is developing, they will always be afraid that maybe they're going to lose their job. And that would be a very critical point for every company or every industry. If the people are afraid that they will lose their job, their motivation to go to the company and work well will decrease. So increasing the digital IQ will also decrease fear and increase involvement. And in all the companies who have worked with me, we have seen that the best ideas are not only from the C level, but they come from the person who is working in the company, who knows the processes, and then says, wow, why not use big data here? Why not use automation here? And maybe in marketing, some artificial intelligence could help us. And to be successful in such an environment, we will need companies who make their staff knowledgeable about the digital changes of this competitive new environment and how this world is moving faster. The most interesting thing is not technologies are going to change the way we work, but they not technologies are going to change or replace our workspace. What will happen is that companies who use these technologies and who increase the digital IQ of their staff will overtake companies with low digital IQ. And that is not the responsibility of the technology. It's not the technology that is bad. It is the CEOs who have to decide what is the future of their company. Is it increasing the digital IQ of everyone in the company and profiting from it, or leaving it as it is and hoping that things will get better someday?
Okay, Sanjay, that was really interesting to understand that. But the other thing that you talk about is the never normal. Now, obviously, over the last couple of years, normal is no longer a word that we associate with anything, I think, because everything has just become the new normal. but you talk about the never normal. Can you talk us through that and how and why we need to know about this topic?
Yeah, that's a very important thing that is happening in society, and COVID introduced a change in the normality of society. Suddenly, there were lockdowns. Suddenly, businesses were going bankrupt. Suddenly, no hotels, no events. The whole travel industry is suddenly facing a new normal. And everybody hoped that after the COVID developments, and after we have found everything against COVID with the injections and everything that was connected with that, we would go back to a new normal, and everything would be quite the same just 2 years later. The problem is that our world is moving at a very exponential speed. That means that things are not developing linearly, they are developing very exponentially. And that COVID showed us how fast something that just started in March, suddenly in December, everything is closed. So just in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, everything has changed. Now we are facing wars, we are facing economical and ecological problems, we are facing food problems, energy crisis. So everything is now developing in an exponential way, and if we are not prepared for this, we'll be crushed, and especially businesses. And normality will become a very luxurious good, because we are not going into a world that everything is being challenged. Even the Pope is being challenged. Religion is being challenged. Politics is being challenged. Um, our behavior is challenged. Genders are being challenged. And these things are all now at a point, and I expect that in 2025 we'll have a really explosion of all these developments to exponential change, because things are now already in sight, but still under a controllable way. But what happens when inflation goes up? What happens if industries are closed? What about your supply chain? All these questions need to be faced now, and the companies have to be prepared for it, because the never normal means that we cannot expect that things are going to become normal as they were 4 years ago. We are facing a new world, a new climate. We are facing new politics. We have a new generation. We have employee problems. We have motivational problems. And all these problems are resulting to an explosion in the exponential change. So how do companies react to it? So I have done a study on this, and I have developed a worksheet for companies. And if any company is interested, please send me an email, and I will get in contact with you and tell you about the exact plan. But the plan is basically based on two mindsets. The first mindset is you have to transform your business. You have to rethink your business in this new normal, in this never normal, and you have to develop a mindset in the company for the never normal. And that means a mindset for always changing. So don't invest in something that will develop in 10 years or in 5 years, because that is a time scale that is too far ahead. You have to now understand that the markets are changing overnight. Suddenly, a ship uh, can block the whole supply chain of companies, as happened in the Suez Canal. So we remember, we are now in a world where anything is possible. And the good news is that if you prepare yourself and your staff for the never normal, you will belong to the winners and you will profit from it. And companies who are doing this, who are not only concentrating on their old business, but are developing new business models, these are the companies who are winning. And the old style companies based on old values are those who are going to perish. That's really sad. But the thing is, the only thing that will help us is that the world is never normal. Our industry is never normal. Our business is never normal. And at the end, our mindset is never normal. So, what I recommend is rethink your business, get rid of everything that belongs to the old world and doesn't support you in the new world. And my strategy in companies is that I help them to develop a side business, an extra business, maybe online, and keep the old business running. Because if the old business is delivering money, we shouldn't close it. So it's not a radical choice between old business and new business, but it is the development of the parallel world. That means that, as an example, if you are living in an old house, then renovation is needed. The old house will never look as good as a new house. But don't destroy this old house until your new house is not built up. So what I do is I go into companies and help them build up the new house while their old house is still there and working. And the most interesting part is I get the people, the right people in the staff, not from external, from the staff of the company, to slowly shift into the new house and transform the old building into a new, working, healthy environmental company and business. And that's why Never Normal is one of the things that a company urgently needs to do. Especially CEOs need to do this if they really want to survive the exponential changes that are already there, and more are to come.
Thank you so much for that, Sanjay. But let's talk about who you help. I mean, is it individuals? Is it big companies, small companies? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, Richard, the laws of the internet apply to any company. So the whole digital business also applies to every company. It can be a small company, it can be an entrepreneur, a medium-sized company, and it can be a large corporate. So I've been working, for example, for WD-40, for L'Oreal, and other companies. Also 3M, maybe that is known from the DIY sector. And the thing is that the laws of the internet and the digitalization are always the same. And the only thing that is decisive is, are companies using the right strategy on how to reach customers? So even a small company with 3-4 people can overtake a big business if the big business or the large corporate is using the wrong strategy or is not following up on the new developments. And that is a crucial step. Imagine you build your business today and you understand how the Google algorithm works, and you say that everything is running well, you have your sales and your marketing, everything is running well. But what happens if half a year later artificial intelligence takes over and a startup comes up, and the startup uses artificial intelligence instead of investing all their time in the old world and in the old knowledge? This startup has great chances to overtake an established company. And that is really exciting, because the thing is, even as a large corporate, you have to be updated. You have to stay updated. And you need someone who tells you what implications a new technology has. So, for example, in artificial intelligence, the advances have gone so far that we do not need all this stuff for marketing to write text. The stuff of marketing could be used to do other things that an artificial intelligence cannot do. So what we are seeing here is a shift from the normal work, the daily work, and even maybe the stupid work we have to do. Why not use new technologies to replace the stupid work, for example, with artificial intelligence, and gain from the time that the artificial intelligence gives us, so that we can do other things that are more important and maybe not solvable, or at least today not solvable, by a technology. And this is what CEOs need to understand. And what I do is, I help companies on the C-level. I help them understand these technologies. And then on the individual level, I support every worker in the company to exceed his limits, grow, get knowledge, and then put this knowledge into action into the company, and the company will profit. So my job is to be, let's say, an interim chief digital officer who comes for a certain time into the company. I increase the digital IQ. I increase the digital IQ of the staff and of the C-level. And then, after a certain period of time, when the company has transformed, they can run their business in the new house as described earlier, and then I can leave, and the next company is waiting. And that is exactly the way in my understanding of coaching and consulting, is that I try to make the company as independent from me as possible. I put in all my knowledge into the company, and they gain from it. And all the companies, I have over 400 testimonials on my website, because the companies are very happy that I supported them to develop their digital footprint. And the staff has profited. People have been promoted by this because of their knowledge and because of their new ideas, because they open up their horizon. So small and medium-sized companies, as well as large corporates and international companies, are the companies that I support and help, and give them the right steps so that they move without loss of time and without losing much money. They don't have to make the mistakes that others have already done. And because I am cross-industrial coach, I can give a lot of insights from other industries so that the companies profit from it.
Now, a question I suppose that the audience really want to know, Sanjay, is, do you see that there are common issues that your clients face? And if you could talk us through some of these common issues, and if you had any little tidbits that you could help the audience understand how they might be able to overcome these issues, that might also be really useful.
When we're talking about digitalization and digital IQ and the never normal, then one of the main issues companies are facing is where to start. Should we start with the staff? Should we start with digitalization? Should we start with one technology? This is one of the biggest problems, because it leads that to a situation where the companies then are frustrated because they do not know where to start. And this is exactly a big issue when you just start with any technology. And this is the wrong way, in my opinion, because my experience tells me that it is very important to take, for example, my 24 important technologies and then look at the company individually and find out where to start. So what I do is I interview the C-level, I interview many managers and try to figure out what are the real big issues that would give us the fastest and the best results. So low hanging fruits. So very often you need an external view into the company because the company may be doing stuff that they're only doing because they have been doing it always like that instead of rethinking their daily work. And many people are also afraid of this because they are afraid that technology may take over their job and they may lose their job. So what I do is to dissolve this is I create a digital team in the company, and the digital team is depending on the size of the company, can be of 2 people, can be of 6 people, can be also be of 40 people, depending on the departments in the company. And the main thing is that we in this digital team develop digital ideas, digital next steps cross silo. And that's the most important thing. So we should not start digitalization or all this new technologies just in one department. That is wrong because it will take away a lot of money. And if you're developing, let's say, artificial intelligence in the silo A, in the department A of your company, and in the company department B, you are developing big data, it can be that you're investing in 2 different solutions which may not be compatible. And that's the risk. And these are common issues. The common issue is what happens if I invest in one technology in my department A and I invest money in a technology B in another department. Will they be compatible? And that is where transruption has solved the problem. Our approach to the digital world is that we need to interconnect all these 24 technologies. And to make it easier for companies, you can start anywhere because the strategy will then add step by step the next technology which is compatible to all the stuff you have done before. You know, the common issue of a company is also what happens in 2 years with my technology, with my investments. If a new technology comes, will it be compatible? And of course, there's no guarantee for that. It can be that the whole technology is so old in 2 years that you need to reinvest. So that's why I always tell companies that they should not invest so much money that they are bound to a technology for so long, because the advancements in each of these 24 technologies is growing so fast that it would be very risky to do that. So we should concentrate on what we exactly need and what the company can also cope with. The problem is you can buy a software, you can buy a customer relationship management tool, and nobody uses it in the company, then you're lost. So the next common issue is how to make my staff excited about the changes. This is a very big issue because if on the C-level you decide to buy a software and you declare, oh, our company now is going to become digital, then people are afraid. So the common issue is how to get the staff on board. And for that, digital IQ is exactly the right approach. First, before doing anything digital, just make sure that the staff understands the technology, even if they're against it. The main thing is understanding leads to support, and understanding leads also to a certain educational level. That when you are talking at the C level, you're talking to the staff and saying, oh, we want to get robots on board. The first reaction is, oh my God, robots, I'm gonna lose my job. But if the staff has a digital IQ, it will understand, oh, the robots that are being bought, they are going to take the tedious part of my job, and I'll have more time to use it for intelligent work. So the company doesn't want to replace me. They want to make my workplace more human. And that is the main thing we have to understand. If a company gets robots, then the staff has more time to do stuff that is more human, which is more built to our mentality as a human being. And this is exciting. So if this understanding is not there, you will always have barriers introducing new technologies. So that's why these common issues are in every company, but all of the companies that I support, they easily reach their digital goals because the staff understands what is really happening instead of just letting it happen to them. They are part of the change and not the victims of the change. And this is one of the biggest understandings in digital. If a CEO understands this and really puts this into action, he will not face issues anymore.
Those were, yeah, that was really interesting, Sanjay. But I mean, why do you think you see these common struggles and issues that companies have? And it seems that the majority of them, from what I understand, do have these issues. So why do they have them?
Yes, good question, Richard. The biggest struggle is our own mindset. You know, our education is built up in a way that we learn how to think in a linear way. And that means, we go to the first class, second class, third class, and so on. We know at what age we'll start our university or where we start working. We know after how many years we'll get an increase of our income. When do we buy a house? When do we have a family? This is all very linear. But our basic DNA is not linear, because you and me and everybody who is listening is built up on exponential growth. All our cells divide themselves at exponential speed. Otherwise, you and me would be still a baby. And this cell reproduction is one of the basics in our DNA. And in business, we often tend to go back to our school mentality instead of thinking exponentially. And now we saw how the COVID suddenly disrupted our thinking. We were thinking, oh, it will spread and then it will take a lot of time. It will develop in a linear way. And many politicians were shocked about the exponential growth of all this stuff. So what does that mean? It means that our mind has been educated in a linear environment, but the reality outside is developing exponentially. And it is sure that one day these two worlds will collide. And this is what is happening now. We have exactly the point. It is a very important point. It is called singularity. Singularity is the point where exponential changes overtake our linear expectations. And that is the biggest struggle. So to all the listeners, maybe just a small example, to understand more about this exponential world, imagine you would get $1 million now, or you would get 1 cent on the first day, 2 cents on the second day, and on the third it would get the double of the day before. So first day 1 cent, second day 2 cents, third day 4 cents, and so on for, let's say, 30 days. What would you choose? And our linear thinking always leads us to, oh, let's get the millionaire, everything is right and good. But if you would do the calculation, you would have over $10 million after 30 days. And this linear thinking is going to kill a lot of businesses. If you see businesses failing, they're not failing because their business model is wrong. They're not failing because maybe they have the wrong people. They're not failing because they have the wrong customers. They are failing because of the mindset of linear development. So if your business is thriving, why aren't you growing exponentially? Are you growing linearly? And the problem is startups. They suddenly overnight grow exponentially because it is built into the new startups. The new startup companies use the startup mentality. So imagine how your company would look like if you would implement only 1% exponential thinking. I'm not talking about forget everything that you have learned, but you have to unlearn at least a lot of old things that do not work in today's digital environment. And this unlearning is a big struggle. Of course, we have learned a lot, and we have learned it maybe under a lot of problems, with a lot of um, anxieties, with a lot of money to get all this knowledge, and now we have to unlearn it. But imagine that you were in an industry and you were creating, let's say tires, but you are creating tires for coaches. And now suddenly nobody has a coach anymore. They need tires for the car industry. So when will you move your business from the linear thinking, oh, it will take 100 years till things change, to an exponential thinking, oh, we have to hurry because the next market is developing? And to stay in this example, what about tires for electronic cars? And maybe even, what about hydraulic solutions for drones? But because one day, maybe our cars don't even need tires anymore because they will be flying. Sounds strange? Look, in Dubai, there are already the first flying taxis, which are drones. They don't have tires, they have propellers in them. So if I were in the tire industry, I would imagine that I would at least invest or even start my own startup to experiment, to understand what is changing in my industry, how will my industry be in the next 5 or 10 years, and then start implementing the changes now. And that is the most important thing. So these struggles don't come from outside alone. Mainly, these struggles are you ready to change your mindset that has been opposed on you, that has been infiltrating your mind since you were born?
Yeah, okay, Sanjay, I think that makes a lot of sense, for sure. Moving on to the next topic that I think will really help our audience is like, can you share one strategy today that will help companies, big or small, that are having some of these issues? Even just one strategy to help our listeners.
But let's go the other way around. The way is, think about the customer first, and that is the best way to develop any digital strategy. Compare it with Amazon. Amazon did not think about how to present the products. If you look at the website, it still looks like a 80s website. It's quite boring. It has nothing very exciting in it, but it thought the whole customer journey from Z to A. And that is the difference. And that is why Amazon is also so strong, because once you are a customer, you experience such a great service that you don't want to change. You don't want to move anywhere else, even though Amazon may be more expensive than another store. This is also part of the reliability. You can trust Amazon. So, how does a company develop trust in their staff? Trust you can only develop if you are open minded and transparent. And that's very important. So, if a CEO and a company wants support from their staff, they should be transparent. That means no hiding of dangerous things and helping the staff solve their problems. Instead of telling them what to do, we should help the staff in developing strategies themselves. And this is where my work comes in, because this is something that an external person can do perfectly, because he's not bound to any person. He's not bound to hierarchy. He's not bound to the thought, oh, I have to get a promotion and I may have to hide things from the CEO. When I come into a company, I talk plain English and tell the CEO what the real situation is. Then we develop a strategy and then we communicate it. So, if you, dear listeners, are interested in an external view into your company with valuable insights, and I do interviews with the staff, then you will profit from it in a very great uh, level, because your company will not grow in a linear way, it will grow in an exponential way. So always think about the customer first and the staff first, or at least second, and then come your products and your services. You know, disruption also means understanding the new demands. That is also another important actionable tip. Uh, is your product up to date? Could it be made smart with Internet of Things? Could your service be hybrid? That means in real life and online. So all these things have to be matched and thought about. But the first thing we have to do is we have to react on the changing demand of the customer. If you were producing coaches today and hoping that the customer will buy it, then it will maybe be the best coach manufacturer on this planet. You won't really sell as much as if you were selling cars. And even the car industry, just selling cars with a motor, with the petrol, is not sufficient anymore. You have to go into electrical cars and maybe autonomous cars. This is the way we can really help an industry. And what I always want to support you in, dear listeners, is I want to make you a game changer in your industry. And if you are really interested on how to become a game changer and make a real step in your industry and overtake everybody else, then please look at the strategy Transruption.
I mean, with everything that we've talked about, what do you think, a person, an individual from a company, should do, or what can they do if they feel overwhelmed or they're unsure where to start? Is there a starting point that you can recommend?
Oh, yes, sure. Because every great journey starts with the first step. And the first step is talk with some of your staff members about the digital development and then organize an event. That is where all my work starts. My work starts at a kickoff event. Normally, the company organizes a small event where we kick off the digital journey. And at this kickoff, I present the way the company, or at least the way the society is changing and what the company is going to do to cope with it. And this gains a lot of support because the people who are sitting there, they know, oh, there's an expert there. The C level is not doing it on their own, and it's not a relative of the CEO or of the C level. It is an external expert with over 35 years of experience and experience in many, many different industries. And when I'm then on stage, I explain all this stuff in a very easy, understandable language so everybody feels familiar to the things that I'm telling. And I give them examples of their real life, for example, about mobile phones, why the kids are using mobile phones, the impact of social media on marketing for products and services, and so on. So let us organize an event in your company, maybe something like a digital day. And maybe the CEO is speaking, I am speaking, and maybe there are also different departments who worked on their digital vision. And we present it there and also keep it open so that the staff also gets involved and they bring in their own ideas. There is no sense in putting our ideas on them and letting them execute them if they are not persuaded that what we are doing is really sensible. So to bring sense into this, it is important that they listen to my keynote and understand why the company is really doing this stuff. And very often the staff thinks, oh, they're doing this work because they're doing these changes because they want to increase their profit or they want to reduce staff and all that thing. But if somebody external comes in with an external expert label, then they rely on what he says. And it has always proven very successful if a company uses the external know-how to improve the internal IQ and the internal motivation and also the internal trust. You know, many people say, "Oh, our CEO may not be able to understand exactly what is happening in the digital world, but if he has uh, 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 an external expert supporting him in his decisions, then they say, okay, this could go well." And I am known in the industry as someone who can explain complex um, knowledge in very understandable English, and that is where I really help and support a company. And on the other hand, it is very important to know that in all the companies where I have been, we do not reduce staff. It's quite the contrary, because we suddenly understand how important digital is. People start looking for the right people and new people to increase the digital footprint of the company. So I'm not one of those consultants who reduces staff. I am one of the consultants who increases the IQ of the staff and get more people on board who have the same mentality and understand the way the world is moving to.
Great stuff. Sanjay, I really like the information that's coming through, but a really, really essential question that I really want to know the answer to, as well as I know our audience do, is, in your opinion, why do people not follow through?
Yeah, good question, Richard. Why do people not follow through? The thing is, we are used to fast successes, and we are used to that with our knowledge we have today, we can solve the problems of tomorrow. And in the digital world, this has changed. We have to cope the new problems with a new mindset. We cannot solve new problems with an old mindset. And people do not follow through when they understand that they have to learn, that they have to learn new stuff, which may be at the beginning complicated. That is what they think. Once they join my course, then they understand, oh, it's that easy to understand. We have very easy examples on, for example, how blockchain works, how Internet of Things works, and all that stuff. So the fear that you could lose your competency, and if people are talking about it and you cannot talk with them because you're not saying anything because you're afraid of being rejected, or you're being afraid of, yeah, that somebody discovers that your knowledge is not wide enough, that's where people stop doing stuff. So even CEOs, I have seen CEOs in companies who did not join the course, but the staff did. And the staff knew more than the CEO. And this not following through is because there is always one, they one thing in mind. They always say, I don't have to do that. It's enough if my staff does that. And that is the problem. If the leader does not know which direction we have to follow, then the staff, after getting educated, understands that very fast. And then it can even happen that the CEO doesn't have any power anymore because the staff is doing the right things in the new way with new technologies, and the CEO is left behind. So people who do not follow through show how incompetent they are, because they are afraid of relearning new things and also unlearning stuff. The human brain is built of a lot of things that are not really important, but they feel like as if we know a lot. So if you're watching a quiz television show, it's interesting that people think that that is knowledge, but the problem is that is only data that you have in your brain. The main thing is, if you really want to follow through, the first thing you have to do is re-educate yourself. And that is where I really support a company that I coach the CEO, I coach the C-level so that they are firm in what they're talking about. And when the staff then starts talking about, this is there is a common ground on which they can build up the new strategy. And not following through can also be a problem in resources. But exactly here is a solution, our solution, because it helps people in using the technologies at a level of their resources. So the not following through and saying, I don't have the right people, I don't have the money, these are arguments that don't lead us forward. The question has to be, what can we do with the budget we have? What can we do with the staff we have? What can we achieve with the things that we have? And that is why even a $1 million big corporate can be overtaken by a startup which even may not be able to pay their staff, because the not following through is a fear of showing that one doesn't know something. But this is the other side of the greatness of a company and a company leader who also admits, I do not know enough, but I'm educating myself. And this is where education is certainly a great part of a change. And it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, or 70, or even 80. I'm 52 and I'm doing my second master in Vienna at the university. So I'm also re-educating myself about what is new in the uh, marketing world, in the digital world, and getting great information from my education. So for personal growth to not be stopped by what is happening outside, go back to school. That's my advice.
Yeah, okay. Definitely see your thought process going on there, Sanjay. But even when people follow through, we do know, I mean, it's human nature that we are going to have a setback. Something, life is life, and life is going to throw a spanner in the works, as we say. So, what would be your personal strategy that maybe you use or that you advise your clients to use when they do have such a setback? And of course, a setback can be anything. It could be a setback in your personal life that will affect you in business. It could be a setback in business. But should people just give up, or what can they do?
Well, a setback is always an emotional problem. It may be also financial, it could be something with the family, when the parents grow old, all this stuff is a setback. And the main thing is, as you already mentioned, life is built on setbacks, because if there were no setbacks, there would not be any success. The main thing is that first thing, realize that this is a setback and accept it. This is what I do. So whenever I have a setback, and it happens, that's normal, it's life. It would be boring if there were no setbacks, because it means that if there were no setbacks, there were no goals. Because a setback always means something went wrong. And what went wrong is not the issue that we should talk about. The thing is, what did we learn from this setback? Because one of the biggest wastes we do in our life is we waste a lot of time on repeating mistakes and experiencing repeated setbacks. And that is where I learned very early in my, I had good teachers in my university life, that a setback is a very important thing for personality development. And a setback means that it is your chance to learn something, to understand what went wrong, and to improve it, so that next time at the same stage you do not have the setback. The worst case of setbacks is people who are doing the same stuff again and again and hoping that the results will change. And this is where setbacks become a standard, because they're running against a wall. Instead of looking for a door left or on the right side, they're putting their head to the wall and crushing it, hoping that there will be a door there. So my advice for everybody, not only entrepreneurs, but for every human being on this planet, is that accept setbacks as part of your life and profit from every setback, because it will improve your personality, it will improve your character, and it will help you so that setbacks in the future minimize. Because setbacks have a very strange nature. So if you are in a, if you have a setback and you go and you have the next setback, it can happen that they come in a group, and suddenly one setback leads to the next setback, until you realize, okay, let's stop for a second and think about what could we do better next time. What did the setback teach us? What did we learn from it? And people who learn from setbacks are those who are the really successful people, because setbacks make people grow in their personality, in their experience, and in their business.
Okay, so we are coming close to the end of this interview, but what I really want from you, Sanjay, and I'm going to push you here, I'd love to know maybe 3 to 5 key takeaways that the listeners can take away and maybe reflect on, focus on, and take action on, which of course is the most important thing. It's great listening to all of your amazing advice, but if people don't take action, this is where the huge setback can begin, that they haven't done something. So, what would be your 3 to 5 key takeaways?
Yes, well, the first takeaway is the world has changed and will never get into the old normal. We are facing a world where it will be never normal again. Everything is changing at a great speed. It is exponential. That means, as a second takeaway, if we want our company to succeed, we have to move from linear, incremental thinking to exponential thinking and actions in exponential way. That means that we have to use digital technologies. That's the third takeaway. We have to use digital technologies to make our company capable of surviving the never normal and being apt for the always changing world. The fourth advice, or the fourth takeaway, is we as a company can only achieve this if we get our staff educated on how the new technologies work, and then support the staff in implementing these technologies company-wide, not silo by silo. And the fifth thing is that failure is a very important part of every success. Failure shows that you are experimenting. Failure shows that you are trying new things. If you haven't had a failure in the last year or in the last 6 months, then you're not moving fast enough. And that is a very important understanding, a great takeaway for all the listeners. Please, failure is part of the success because it shows you which path is wrong to reach your goals. But it opens up opportunities to show you which way may be better, and then you can experiment, fail again, and stand up and choose the third way, and the fourth, and the fifth. You know that Edison, in an interview, said that he knows 1,200 ways how a bulb does not work. And this is the way we have to work in digital times. We have to stay in favor of failures. And if your staff does make some mistakes, make them learn. If your kids do mistakes, make them learn. The main part of a personality is that the personality understands that failures lead to success. And that would be my fifth key takeaway. Don't be afraid of failures. Be afraid of not doing mistakes, because that means you're not moving fast enough.
Excellent, excellent information there, Sanjay. I think people are really going to or have learned so much from this. But if somebody wants to know more about you, if they want to know, more about how you work with people and how you work with companies, individuals, etc., how can they find out more about you and what do you offer for them? We'd love to know just, the next step that people can take.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard, for this question. The thing is that you can find me on the internet anywhere. That means I have a website, sauldie.org. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, even on TikTok. The most interesting part is that my name, Sauldie, Sauldie, is very unique on this planet. And if you combine it with my first name, Sanjay, Sanjay, and you just Google me, you will find enough resources. I'm on YouTube with a lot of videos. There's a lot of stuff from my side because I'm a giver and I like to share my knowledge with many people. And if you're interested in really changing your industry and you want to change your company and make it more robust against changes in the world, then I would be very glad to support you. And just contact me, send me an email at sauldie@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you and we'll figure out what is the most convenient, most money saving, and most important, most time saving strategy for your company so that you move exponentially. And that is my way of doing business. I have also changed my business completely because after COVID, there were no events, no keynotes. And so staying agile is a very important part of any business. And if you want a robust company that survives more than 2025 and thrives and profits from all the opportunities that are there, especially in artificial intelligence and in automation, what would it be like if you could reduce the workload that your staff is doing by 25% by using artificial intelligence or automation software? Just think about it. If you're really apt to make a significant change of your company without losing the existing assets, but to create something new in parallel, then I would be so glad to support you in your journey through the digital world.
Well, unfortunately, that brings our interview to an end. And I just want to say a big thank you to you, Sanjay, for spending this time with us, and to you, the listeners, who have hopefully learned a lot. But remember, it's not about just learning, it's about taking action. And I would encourage you to visit saudie.org. That's SAULDIE.org to find out more information about how Sanjay can help you.